Hey all, welcome back to the Truth Crump and Low YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jack Tyler, and I've been very fortunate to kind of be the custodian of this channel, if you will, for the last 6 or so months, and figured, maybe you're tired of hearing me talk and in my face, and we bring in somebody new. So Ty, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. My name is Ty, and I'm one of the watch specialists here at Street Carmelo in the watch salon. If you find yourself in Newbury Street, come and check it out.
All right, so today we thought it would be really fun because I always feel like when you talk to somebody about their watch collection, you learn a lot about them, not just about the watches, but them as a person. You feel the same way?
Sure.
Yeah. I think you can pick up some subtleties there. So what we wanted to do was pick 3 watches from our own personal collections to show you. But first off, we want to start with the watches because amazingly, Ty and I both have the very first watches that we ever bought. Well, I bought mine. I believe you have a slightly different story. And yeah, we want to show them to you. So what do you have on? This is your first watch.
Yes, this is my first watch. It was passed down, given to me by my uncle. Growing up in a family, seeing my dad make sure he have a watch every time he leaves the house, and that's the first thing he touched, take it off when he got home from work. And kind of like print really well in my mind that he's doing that as a ritual, as a habit. And then right before I leave Vietnam to go to America to study, it's like start a new chapter. My uncle tapped me on the shoulder right at the airport and say, take off his watch and say, hey, this is yours, So it's kind of be with me until now. So it's been almost 12 years, I would say.
That's super cool.
Yeah, so I still have it.
What a cool piece. Yeah.
What a cool piece. What do you have today?
So I have this tiny, what was probably originally sold as a woman's watch, little Mickey Mouse, little tiny gold-plated watch. And I think it's probably from like the late 60s, early 70s or something like that.
Yeah, I can see why would you say that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's got some nice patina, which makes it obviously significantly more valuable. But I bought this watch, interestingly enough, because I like to read a lot. And when I was in middle school, I read this book called The Da Vinci Code.
Oh.
You know the Da Vinci Code?
Yeah.
All right, well, they made a movie about it, and Tom Hanks is in it, and Tom Hanks was like my favorite actor for a really long time. Still is one of my favorite actors. And in the book, he talks about wearing this Mickey Mouse watch, and I liked the meaning behind it because it was to not take himself too seriously. So I remember I bought this on eBay for, I don't know, like $15, and I wore it all the time. And basically from that point on, I was always wearing some kind of a watch, and it just became a part of, every day. Just like your pops, putting on a watch,
yeah,
going to school.
Like a gentleman ritual,
Absolutely,
yeah.
and you brought this up earlier about the fact that for most guys, and I think that it's changed a lot in terms of what's maybe more culturally acceptable for accessories, but for a long time, like a wristwatch is kind of like maybe a ring or two, but the wristwatch is like your way to express yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
So let's talk about what you brought. So we have 3 different watches. So let's jump in with this first one up front, this Rolex.
So this is actually a Rolex Explorer 1. Reference number 124270. I love the Explorer because it just a really cool, probably long history, but which is what Rolex is about. Like this is pure Rolex.
It's like the most condensed version of a Rolex sports watch.
It's just so simple.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's a completely purist Rolex
Like you would
watch.
not look at this when you go into a Rolex AD and then they have plenty of watch on display. Like you would not look twice of like the Explorer if you have multiple, like a Yachtmaster or Submariner next to it or something. But the Explorer to me is like representing what Rolex do best. It's very simple, amazing movement, and I find that when they did this in 2021, I'm just like, you know what, I have to have it because the older version, the 114270,
Right. Is that the one that had the
hollow links?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did not like that for a reason. However, if somebody out there who loved the vintage feeling, it's a great piece.
Right.
Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Please.
It feels like a 60s watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like, hey, I do want a much more substantial class, and I'm just glad they finally did this.
Yeah, and the size is perfect, and it's great that they're still making that like really traditional size for that piece.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on, I see a very, very beautiful little blue dial over there. Can you tell us a little bit about the second watch that you brought to show us?
Sure. I mean, this is actually probably my favorite watch just because like it's like 3 in 1.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
It's like I can change it into different strap bracelet if I feel like to. And also it's a very beautiful blue dial Great size for my wrist, 37 millimeter. It takes a while for me to adjust the 9 o'clock sub dial.
Yep, that's a
but
unique one for sure.
if I feel like, hey, I'm gonna get sweaty for like during the summer, hey, rubber strap with your friend, guys. Rubber strap with your friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, yeah, I don't think Vacheron's gotten quite enough. Oh, well, they haven't gotten enough credit, in my opinion, for the overseas in general. I mean, it's so easy that they get overshot by, the Royal Oak and things like the Nautilus. But it's a great watch, and honestly, having the ability to change to the bracelet and to the leather, I mean, it's like the one watch that you need.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It set the tone. It set the standard for you.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It's super cool to see in that size. And then last but certainly not least, I know this is a recent acquisition for you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what's there?
So this is a Blancpain Air Command in 36.2 millimeter flyback chronograph with a countdown bezel. I love this piece because I can see that how the Blancpain has innovate, and achieve such a small compact in terms of size, but actually a very masculine in terms of look when it comes to vintage inspired, pilot chronograph kind of thing.
For sure.
And
you told me this is the smallest flyback chronograph movement that you know of, right?
as I know of, and on the market actually.
Yeah, right. Current production.
Current production. So it's just so beautiful because like how they bevel and the movement build quality. Oh, and did you know there's actually titanium 23?
No, I did not know that.
Like you basically use as a material for medical implant, like your hips and your legs and stuff.
Crazy.
Sometimes I feel like I don't have a watch on when I wear it because it's so light,
That's super cool. Yeah, I know you were looking for that one for a while. So and we actually did a full feature video on this watch. So if you want, you can check. We're gonna put a link to that right up here.
But enough about me, Jack. What do you brought today? Talk to me about this piece here.
Yep. I was thinking like if I had to literally take only 3 watches, like put them in a bag and go on a trip, these would be the 3 that I would bring for 3 very different reasons. So first and foremost, kind of like it's ironic you picked a Rolex too. I wanted one watch that would like go with everything. And I was just on vacation for 2 weeks, and this is the only watch I brought. It was perfect. I mean, I did everything from ride around on a Vespa scooter to like go out to a nice dinner. And I think that the Jubilee bracelet I didn't even tell you what the watch is, which obviously, it's a GMT Master 2, lovingly referred to as the Pepsi. But I was just gonna say that having the Jubilee bracelet on there, to me, it like elevates the watch to a level where I will feel comfortable wearing it with a suit, but at the same time, like walk your dog in that watch, it's gonna be fine. It's Rolex, it's built like a tank. So yeah, that's my first pick.
Would you prefer the Oyster over Jubilee or Jubilee over
Jubilee
Oyster?
all day.
All day?
Yeah, all day. Especially on that watch. For some reason, I feel like the Oyster looks better on the Batman. There's absolutely
somehow
no...
it's just like, to me,
there's
it's
no
the same.
logical reason.
2013 Batman launch, to me, that's probably the only bracelet Oyster on that bezel.
Yeah, it just makes sense.
It's just a link. Now, the second piece, I might find is a very special piece. So talk to me about this piece and why do you love it, and also how do you get it?
For sure. So this is a JLC Reverso tribute model, and I think was it 2020 that they dropped these?
I believe, yeah.
Yes. So they came out with 3 different variations in the burgundy colorway, the blue colorway, and the green colorway. And this is a watch that I just saw online, and I was like, it was just one of those that hits you right in the gut, and you're like, I need this. There's absolutely no logical reason to buy it right now. I need this watch. And interestingly enough, like especially doing these videos and being here a lot, like you really learn to appreciate the fact that you don't know what a watch is going to wear like or even look like until you have it in person. But I literally just went online and bought this directly from them because you couldn't get it. This is a boutique-only piece, and I brought it as my kind of dress watch. But I think it's also, it's more versatile than you would think. Because when I got it, of course I loved it for the watch, but I don't know if you're like me, and this is an interesting question. Well, maybe not interesting, but I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, when you buy a watch, do you think about what you're going to wear it with?
No.
You just think about the watch itself?
Yeah.
Okay, see,
aesthetic.
I'm the complete opposite. And this was one of the very few watches that I bought just thinking about the watch itself. And I got it, I was like, oh shit, what am I going to like match with a burgundy watch? But it's surprisingly versatile. It goes with a lot more things. I think it's funny because there's not that many other burgundy dial watches out there. I can't think of too many.
And I love the tribute hour marker too.
Yes.
I'm sure you would prefer this over the Arabic numeral.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, when I wear this, I feel like Jay Gatsby.
There we go. Let's go.
Anyways.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's a great piece.
Thank you.
Last one.
Yes.
This is actually pretty cool because
Cool.
you don't see this that often.
No, you're not going to see that on a lot of wrists
Yeah.
because of the story, which is actually the story behind how this watch came into existence is probably my favorite of any watch that I own.
Yeah,
Do you know the story?
But why don't you just
Okay,
tell me?
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So this is the Zenith El Primero Manufacturer Edition, which is a part of their revival line, which is kind of like going back in the archives and trying to recreate basically one-to-one, versions of the original watches. I wouldn't even consider them to be homage pieces. They're like literally, besides the movement on a lot of them, they're as close as you can possibly get.
Yeah.
So the story behind this piece was they were up in the attic at the manufacturer in Geneva, and they pull out a drawer, and in the drawer are a bunch of old dials. And they look at the dials and they kind of like age them based on the characters and everything on there, and realize that these were very possibly prototypes for the original El Primero release, which was in 1969. And the only difference between this and the one that they originally released was the color of the subdials. It's not the tricolor that we are used to seeing all the time, but it's these three different blues.
3 different shades of blue.
Exactly.
Which
and
is awesome.
somebody in the marketing department had a great idea, and they're like, let's just make it. Let's like open up a rift in the time-space continuum and like make this watch as if this had been the original release. And they did this, and they had a little bit of publicity about the watch, and then COVID happened. And the story was that you were not going to be able to buy this watch unless you went to Switzerland and toured the factory. It was never available in any boutiques. And still to this day, you can basically only get it directly from Zenith. So it's a really cool watch. And my favorite part, which I should have brought it, is when you buy the watch, in the packaging, they give you one of the original dials.
No way.
Yeah, it's the sickest. I was so excited about it that I called Zenith because I didn't believe it. I was like, is this what I think it is? Is this one of the original dials? And they're like, yeah. It was so cool. So it's a great piece. This is my sports watch option, I've got it on this like racing band, just to be a little bit sportier and kind of pay tribute to, the heritage of what this watch was intended for, which was timing automotive racing. So,
that's awesome. Yeah. Because Zenith El Primero, with this case size now with the current production, they put caliber 3600 in, so it's like a 1/10 of a second piece. You can't find like the caliber 400, which is the normal tachymeter 60-second, chronograph, in this retro vintage.
With the flat lugs and the size.
As good as it can get.
I think so. Yeah, and they nailed everything on this piece.
Absolutely.
They've got the lollipop hand. They've got the correct text, which is perfect. The tachymeter text is perfect. So yeah, I love this piece. It's literally like wearing a vintage watch. So
it is, and like these hand here, would you say that these hands are considered like secret hands?
That's a good way to. I've never heard them described that way, but yeah, it makes total sense.
But it looks like it though.
It does.
That's
cool. It makes it even cooler. Well, listen, I don't know about you, but I had a bunch of fun. It's so cool, especially to see these two, not to discount the Explorer at all, but it's really cool, and to hear the story of this watch.
Yeah, thanks.
So, man, thanks for bringing these in and hanging for a bit, and I hope that you guys enjoyed. Leave a comment below. We'd love to know what were your favorite pieces, what you think of these watches, and, Shreve is a dealer for a lot of these different brands, so if you want to check out the website, shrevecrumpenlow.com, or, again, if you happen to be in Boston, head on over to our 39 Newbury Street boutique, where you can work directly with Mr. Tai here. So, as always, thanks for spending a little bit of your time with us here today, and thank you again, Tai.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Hey.